Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to be speaking about the Microsoft SharePoint Server 2010, and specifically around the search. We're going to be doing an overview of search. My name is Adrian Tillett, and I am a Senior Lead Consultant with Catapult Systems in the San Antonio practice. And if at any time you need to ask a question, please go up to the Q&A dialog box you see above and select it and type in your question. And we'll try to take those questions and answers as many as we can at the end of the presentation. Additionally, if you can't stick around through the entire presentation and you still have questions, please try to reach us at marketing@catapultsystems.com. Just reference this particular search overview presentation, and we'll try and get back with you with the correct answers. So other things to bear in mind is that we currently have our lines muted, so really your only interaction with us would be through the questions and answers dialog. But you can also provide feedback to the speaker as we're going through it by using the dialog on the upper right-hand corner called feedback. That stated, let's go ahead and get started today and start talking about SharePoint search and looking at some of the neat features that Microsoft has produced for us today. So Microsoft SharePoint 2010 is a new feature that's being a new product that's being introduced in the marketplace about mid-May, and Microsoft basically classifies search in this platform into the 6 o'clock position on the new SharePoint 2010 wheel. So if you want to find out more about the wheel and all the different feature sets that are included in this, please try attending some of our Catapult Systems upcoming webcasts that cover the SharePoint 2010 features. And there's also a variety of information out on the internet. Well, basically, with search, we can actually find people and information anywhere. We want to go beyond the search box, eliminate the compromise between manageability and capability, and we want to do more with search. So those are some basic ideas behind this. SharePoint 2010 moves beyond the traditional blue links and introduces a visual and interactive experience, allowing users to find, explore, and connect information and people. SharePoint 2010 offers an integrated solution that can tackle the most challenging enterprise search requirements while maintaining out-of-box simplicity and consistency of a durable and secure platform. And SharePoint 2010 is a powerful platform for building custom search solutions and applications using common out-of-the-box tools. So as a developer, that last part really gets to me, because this new platform offers lots of interesting avenues on how to extend your current applications that are in your intranet or internet environment. But let's move on to the next slide. Well, enterprise search is a big investment area for Microsoft with 2010. There are two different offerings really for SharePoint search. One is the standard SharePoint search, and the other is the improved fast search. While many will be fine with the base SharePoint search capabilities, fast search for SharePoint will meet the more sophisticated needs. Fast search for SharePoint is a superset of the basic SharePoint user experience, APIs, and connectors. Microsoft was thinking big here when they determined their design goals for the new search with SharePoint. These are basically better answers faster, knowledge amplification, and enterprise deployment. So these design goals were key in their determination of what factors to include in search and what not. For better answers faster, improved relevancy algorithms have been introduced, interactive results navigators, and new file type support and language supports for a variety of languages. For knowledge amplification, there's been improvements in phonetic and multilingual capabilities. There's social-driven results now and secure access to the result systems, as well as expert finding ability. For enterprise deployment, well, basically we have scalability to the extreme here. We can tune our results for better utilization, and now our new rich world of platform integrations is really available for us with search. So let's let's jump right on into the search results screen and examine some of the key features of SharePoint search as we search for the term marketing on our intranet site. So there are several sections here I want to point out. There's a main results center in the center. On the left is the refiners section where you can go and refine. On the right is the related search section. This follows really good Web 2.0 design practices in terms of presenting your information centrally to your users. On the main results, we get a relevancy summary description of all of the different items that appear and capabilities to view the actual documents within a browser experience. So as you can see in the first item there's a couple of links below each of the different search results items that allows you to refine a little bit more what you're looking for. So if you're using an Office web application, then your customers or employees would have the ability to open a web-based edition of Word or other Office applications to view their document. So what's nice about this is that there's no need to require users to have a specific Office edition locally installed on their PCs. It's all web-based. On the left is the Refiner section. Here we can sort by a variety of document properties, locations, and tags. The SharePoint Server 2010 supports social tagging of content as well, and this feedback does influence the relevance of content in the search results. The more your users interact with the documentation and tag it, the more relevant it becomes in search results. On the right is the related search section. There is an opportunity to change what is being searched for to find people here, to pivot your search basically, for whoever might match the description for what you've inputted, and to tie into search federation results. Such as in this example, we have a Bing results window that we've used on the lower right-hand corner to bring in results from the internet. The SharePoint Search Federation feature allows you to tie into any open standards search appliance that you may have already implemented within your internet or intranet environment. So taking a look at the people search portion of the search, we find that search is improved by utilizing social behavior. What is that? Well, for many organizations, SharePoint sites have become gathering places where people create, share, and interact with information. Social behavior is taken into account in order to provide high-quality search results in several ways. Most importantly, the relevance ranking for people search takes the social distance into account. For instance, a direct colleague will appear on your search results higher than someone who is at least 3 degrees removed. So this is important for you in terms of being able to find people that you can collaborate with who are somewhere within your collaborative network. Additionally, mining and discovering expertise influences your results. So what does this mean? Well, users can manually submit or automatically generate a list of colleagues that are mined from Outlook. So the automatically generated list of colleagues are a way of rapidly inferring these social relationships throughout your organization, which speeds the adoption and usefulness of the people search results. SharePoint 2010 also infers expertise by automatically suggesting topics that are mined from the user's Outlook inbox and suggesting additions to their expertise profile in their My Site. So how does this work with search? Well, this makes it easier to populate the My Site profiles initially. It means that people will have well-populated profiles, and that will then influence the search results and the communities that they belong to. So we have a lot of interactive, collaborative features here within the SharePoint environment that leverage each other in order to produce that better search experience. Okay, so let's talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, or let's talk about a often asked for feature that is now included out of the box into SharePoint. And this is basically the phonetic and wildcard and some ability for nickname lookup as well features. This allows you to find people easier now in a way that is actually natural to you. For instance, I can now look for somebody called Mike, and SharePoint will actually interpret that and say, oh, you're looking for Michael. I can look for somebody called Willie with a wildcard, and it'll pick anybody who has those characters in their name, such as William. Additionally, I can also look for somebody called Bob, and it'll go out and find maybe a Richard or Bill. So what's nice about that is that you can look for people in a very natural way that you're used to interacting with them. So this feature set was really an often requested enhancement, and it left developers scratching their heads and left IT administrators constantly populating a list of thesaurus entries. So this is a nice to have that it was included in the new release, and I think it's going to be very popular. So let's take a peek at the Fast for SharePoint results. If you remember earlier, we talked about having two different types of search platforms that are available for you with SharePoint. The first was the SharePoint Search, and the second was SharePoint Search with Fast, or Fast for SharePoint. So with Fast, you can create very engaging conversational search experience using navigators. Entity extraction enables these navigators with exact result counts. So on the left, you can see the refinements, and you can understand the best options for filtering your results. For instance, in this particular query, I may decide that I want to pick Microsoft under the company refiner because I know there's 2 items in that list, and I've maybe reduced my result set from 12 to 2, and so I'm getting a better filtering from what I'm looking for. That gives you pretty good ability to get in quick and find your information that you want. It allows you to scan the results rapidly with the document preview as well. You can see the first page of documents and get a thumbnail of that, and you can also refine your queries with some suggestions as well that are part of the results set. Also present here is the ability to scroll through existing PowerPoint slides, so you can find the right slide for your needs right from the search interface. So this is really huge. You can keep navigating left and right and look at the previews of different slides and then know that this is what you're looking for and then download that. So there's no need to jump to another jumping off point or have PowerPoint installed to be able to find what you're looking for. So the ability really to compact as much information in an intuitive space is just huge. This right here is one of the most sought after features in advanced search applications, and it's just wonderful that Fast is able to bring this into the interface very easily. So going beyond the search experience still, this slide summarizes some of the key differences between the SharePoint Server Search and the Fast Search for SharePoint. Again, the main thing to note here is that Fast gives you a more improved user experience in terms of delivering the search results effectively. Secondarily, I would say that Fast Search also provides a much larger amount of capacity in terms of indexing content. You can get into the hundreds of millions of documents with Fast Search. And again, since search scalability improvements have been incorporated into this release, you can scale up your application in order to meet the critical demands that are placed upon the infrastructure for search as needed. So let's talk a bit about scalability improvements here and just kind of go down the rabbit hole a little bit, and then we'll come right back out. But if the key point here is that multiple indexers have been now incorporated into the scalability improvements for search. For those of you who have MOS 2007 implementations or SharePoint 2007 or SharePoint 3.0 implementations, we all know that the index server was the single point of failure. So that's no longer the case. We also know that we can only have one indexer for a given SSP. Well, SSPs no longer exist. Now we have service-oriented applications that exist. And with that new framework, we are able to scale up and scale out as many tiers as needed in order to go out and populate what we need. So if we look at those scalability improvements, we have basically focused on improving the volume, the performance, and redundancy for search. These improvements bring more value to the search appliance in supporting your knowledge workers. By improving the findability of data across disparate data sources, An effective search implementation has the potential to unite your business processes and fuel innovation in your corporation. For instance, a possible scenario with search would be to integrate a CRM application and key from a simple search to find related customer documents, similar projects, and logistics data for your customer. You could even tie into an ITSM database at this point and find out where their current pain points are. But the point here is not about that application. The point here is that this related but non-associated data is compiled into your search, and it can take up a lot of space and become slow. But these new improvements let your administrator plan for and address storage and latency weaknesses to help keep your search solution humming and effective. The other thing to note about this slide is the variety of content sources that are shown at the bottom end of the slide. As you see, we can go out and search other websites, file stores, multiple database environments, as well as other applications that are available on the intranet or internet environment. One of the key things that come delivered with this platform is the ability to search other systems, such as Lotus Notes, other web content management, and enterprise content management engines like Documentum or FileNet. So this slide really kind of shows you that you can pull things out and tease them as needed in order to make sure that you have the scalability you need for your search application. Let's move on. So let's talk about licensing. I borrowed this really excellent slide from the Microsoft SharePoint team, and the first thing to note really is that the SharePoint Foundation replaces the WSS nomenclature that was prevalent in the 2007 release of SharePoint. So in order to understand how licensing works for here, Microsoft has provided a lot of different options, which makes this more complex than the previous licensing structure, but in certain ways it also makes it easier for you to select what's right for you. So the way to think about this is to look at this within 3 dimensions. First, you need to decide if you want to build an intranet or an internet environment. Once you've made that decision, your choices are basically slimmed down to 4. Second, do you want an on-premise solution, or are you looking for a cloud solution? So you can pick based upon those for different parameters, and bearing in mind that a hybrid solution is also a viable option. And last, do you want advanced search capabilities? If you do, then there's a license to suit your needs. So utilize this slide when you're trying to decide what's right for you in terms of licensing structures, and hopefully this will help you kind of move along and understand what you'll need at minimum. So if you're interested in learning more about enterprise search, there are some great Microsoft and Catapult Systems resources. For instance, the Enterprise Search Tech Center on TechNet. There's lots of information out there, and there's a link there to take you to that particular center. Or you can just go to TechNet and search for it. There's also the Microsoft Team blog, and they have great articles there. They have a lot of how we did it articles that let you kind of read their approach to implementing different feature sets. So it can be eye-opening for you here. There's also a SharePoint 2010 evaluation guide that you can go off of in terms of like understanding, does this look like a good platform for me to move towards. You can find that also on the technet.microsoft.com site. The link was actually too large to put onto the site for you to download the exact document, but yeah, you should be able to search for it and find it. And last but not least, actually, is a Catapult Systems information portal. And we invite you to come learn with us, explore, absorb, and interact with some of the best in the business. Come and find out how we're doing on our current projects. Read our blogs. Come and visit our webcasts and events. Read our white paper solutions and sheets. And you can find out more at our website, catapultsystems.com/learn. If you're interested in general planning resources, let's say you just want to go down this path, there's some great documentation you can go and get. Let me go to the next slide here. Jumped ahead of myself. But essentially, there's a planning and architecture for SharePoint server that you can check out on the testnet site. It's within that is actually a very large download, and it's divided into two sections: a site and solution planning download and a server and farm environment planning download. So they're very detail oriented, and you can print these out in huge Visio diagrams that you can use to help yourself with some planning. But after you've done that and you need some additional help to understand exactly what impact this will have in your environment, please check out the SharePoint Deployment Planning Services. There are 3 types being offered. There's a SharePoint 2010 Upgrade Planning, a SharePoint 2010 Deployment Planning, which is coming out soon, and a SharePoint for Internet sites, which we can help you with. Last but not least, what's next? Well, let's all upgrade to SharePoint 2010. So Catapult Systems has a great competency in SharePoint, and we want to help you with your SharePoint 2010 upgrade. Some of the key points that we do very well are planning, risk remediation, and education of your IT staff and key stakeholders. If you want to learn more about how we do things and how we'll help you get through this process, please email us at marketing@catapultsystems.com, and you can get a free SharePoint 2010 evaluation until May 1st if you go ahead and reference this SharePoint 2010 assessment in your email. And we'll be sure to get back with you. At this point, we're going to look at any questions that you may have and see what we can answer. So the first question we have basically is, how can we set up a development environment, IDE, in SharePoint 2010 that stages from development, testing, staging, and production? So there's a couple options here you have before the actual release of SharePoint. You can go onto the Microsoft download site, and they have a virtual hard drive you can download and then run. And that environment gives you a place to kind of go play with and tweak a bit, to play with and tweak it, and to do some sample development until the release is completely available. Your other option is that you can download the beta bits and do an installation. If you happen to have a spare Windows 2008 R2 server, you can install on that environment. I would recommend go ahead and installing the beta Visual Studio 2010 so you can get the full development experience, and you can utilize that in a server environment. Additionally, there is support for installing your SharePoint environment on the Windows 7 platform. I know that wasn't available in previous versions of SharePoint. You had to always install in the server environment, but now you can actually do that on a Windows 7 platform. It's not something I would do usually. I like to have separation between my desktop and my development environment, so I use virtual machines, but you can definitely go that route. Hopefully that answered your question. All right, so we have another question that just came up. Please keep them coming. When searching the metadata on documents in a large file store, for instance, a bunch of Word documents, and making sure the results respect the permissions, has any of this behavior changed in 2010? No, the behavior really hasn't changed in 2010. And if you recall, in order to make the search results respect the permissions on documents and stuff, you had to be using Active Directory groups or Active Directory as your or NTFS permissions as kind of your ACL for those files. And so here I'm assuming you're talking about files that live on in another environment, like a large file store. Now, if you have when you have documents in this file store and you have custom metadata that's attached to those documents, the SharePoint search piece will pick up those items and index them as part of the index. Now, they may not be immediately available for search, but if you're looking at large amounts of custom document types on those documents, Fast Search actually provides a way for you to surface those with very little effort in the search screen, so you can then drill down into it. For instance, maybe in your document, you might have a customer number that you put with it, and it's just part of your document properties. fast search would discover that information, and if it does appear in enough frequency, allow you to refine based upon that particular type of property. So hopefully that answers that question. If not, please ask a follow-up. All right, so the next question is, we have 12 globally distributed content sources and currently centralize our search results using federated search. Are there new or any new search options or alternatives introduced in 2010 for globally distributed customers? Yeah, that's a really good question. From my understanding about how the search feature works today, and from what we've implemented so far, is the options really stay about the same in how you implement search. No matter what, you have to set up content sources to go and look against different environments, and you have a variety of options there. You can crawl over the WAN, which can be very ineffective, and you can also federate your search results. One of the other things that the search platform allows you to do is replicate some of the query indexes to a different server, so you can offload that. So there's some options there, and there's some possibilities there in being able to take some of those indexes and bring them locally. So in other words, maybe I might index, if I have a server set up in the Philippines in Manila that's indexing on my Manila content, I could take some of that index results and bring them over to a server that I have, in Palo Alto someplace, and utilize those search results there. So the way that you propagate that information isn't a SharePoint feature set, but that possibility does come up now because of the way that the system has been architected. Hopefully that answers your question there. If not, please ask a follow-up. So I have a fourth question, and the question is, how can we publish custom web parts and InfoPath applications from development to production? So, okay, so this is one of those, this ties into kind of the life cycle event of moving code and content from one environment to another. And the best practice really is to take your custom web parts and put them into solutions. And then those solutions, as you clear them through your development environment, you would take that solution and migrate it into quality assurance and then production. Same thing for InfoPath forms. You can actually put these into solutions as well, or do a manual publish process. Hopefully that answers your question about some of the best practices for moving web parts and application forms from dev to production. If not, please ask a follow-up question and we'll get you a more explicit answer. All right, so we have about 2 minutes left. I will hang on for another couple minutes, and if there's any other questions, please go ahead and ask. If not, I will. If not, well, I'm fine. I want to thank you all for participating in this presentation over the Microsoft SharePoint Server 2010. Again, if you have any follow-up questions after the presentation, please email me at marketing@catapultsystems.com or visit our website and just reference the search overview presentation, and we will be sure to get back with you with any questions you may have. Again, don't forget the free evaluation for SharePoint 2010 if you ask for it by May 1st. Same email address. Thank you.